We got a bunch of questions, and one of the top-rated questions was regarding version control systems. Which is the most recommended version control system that is being used in the industry? Or what, according to you, is the most recommended or is the best version control system? Okay, that is good. Then, like, anybody could stand up and share their views on the particular version control system that is being used by you or by your company, or what is your opinion on that? And even if you want the internet facility, it's available, so you can browse and even give us an opinion. So we just have to be interactive. That's it.
So it's just like there will be reasons for you to say Git. It is not because that is I am using Git, so everyone should follow. So there might be some reasons, right? So who would like to answer first? Sharath. Why Git?
Okay.
And also,
so I don't want
you
to.
may actually come onto the floor if you want.
Yeah. So why Git? I started working probably some 12 years back. So that time we had Visual Source Safe in place, where you can just check out, check in, and if you checked out a file, probably nobody else can work on that. So this scene has been changed, and later I had a chance to work with a version control system called Rational Clear Case. So, which is a very interesting solution. So it has a central server, and whatever you are seeing within your system is a virtual copy of the actual files in the server. Meaning it consumes almost zero of your disk space unless you check out a specific file. So it's a virtual driver sits on top of your actual file system, which connects to the network server. So one of the problem with this solution is that first thing is that it's very expensive, owned by IBM. Rational was brought in by acquired by IBM, and it is very expensive solution. Second thing is that you need to have a really powerful server that needs to be that needs to serve for like this many number of developers, and it needs to have such a large infrastructure in place. So I had to work with a company. I previously worked with the Honeywell, so where we had a server for Asia Pacific region, and where they were serving to the whole different development centers in Asia. So this was very slow, which is a difficult process, and we often use the static copy of these things. So Rational Clear Case. So it has a lot of good things, including the branching, merging, versioning, and tags. So many things in place. It is one of the best versioning system, but despite of this cost and slowness. So then we heard about SVN. So SVN is widely used in many of the companies. One of the pain points with SVN is that it doesn't support a real branching mechanism. So it's built on basically on the core networking principles of of an operating system. So when we talk about a branching, SVN is actually making a copy of the branch. The entire content. So the last company I worked was in Philips. We had a product, a PAX product, which has GBs of the source itself contains GBs of data. So if you are planning to check out, it just comes from a remote server. We don't know where it sits, and it will take almost a day to clone the data, check out the data. And when just imagine the situation where you need to create a version of it. Basically, if I say 5.0, then I need to create 5.1. If I talk about branching, it doesn't happen instantly. So again, there is a clone created within yours. There is another copy is being created, which is a painful process, and often this is controlled by the server administrator. And you can definitely have a local version of it, and these conflicts resolve. So the other point is that you don't have a copy of your work, meaning you have a local copy, but once you commit something, that directly goes into the actual server. So maybe you just need to take a backup of your work in that particular day, or you have to sit with your local version until you complete the entire feature. It might take weeks or months to complete such a feature unless you don't have an option to commit. Even if you commit, it will be a dirty commit, right? So which may not be the case everyone wanted. So this might be the head is connected to some continuous integration server, and which could often create problems for other developers as well. So this is one of the drawbacks of SVN. So then later I heard that, when I joined at Experion, so I also already took the pain of SVN source management. So when I joined at Experion, so we tried to adopt Git. So that I personally took up the challenge that we will be migrating to Git. So Git is created by Linus Torvalds. So so just look at the kernel development. So we have thousands of people working on the Linux kernel. So what they do, they don't have a central server. So they take a clone of the actual copy. Not all contributors can commit to the original kernel repository, right? So the system is designed based on this kind of workflow, meaning you can get a copy of the actual code, keep it locally. Once you are done modifying your changes, then you can just push the changes directly. If you have the privilege to commit to the actual repository, or you can send something called a pull request, or keep it in a different branch, ask somebody else to review it and approve it and get it merged to the actual branch. So that is the idea behind Git. The interesting part of Git is that you can create any number of branches. If you want to create 1 million branch, which is fine, that happens instantly. So inside the Git story, there is no plain text file. Whatever you commit to Git is basically stored within a .git folder with as different objects. And when you switch between the branches, whatever you see as the result of the file system is a result of these reconstructions. So when you switch branches, instantly this whole database is points to the right version of the file and reconstructed and just keep it regenerate it. And once you so this is the basic idea of Git, and you don't need to have a different physical copy of all these things. And Git actually separates your local development environment and the server development environment. So until you say that this should be pushed to the server, it won't go there. So and also the branches are branching system is entirely different, meaning just like it's a copy of your system. So you can create whatever you do want. If you are creating a feature, then you can say feature / some branch name and keep on developing it. Once you complete that in a real development process, what we do, you just pull back the latest version, whatever available. Like you cannot, if 100 people are developing, they are pushing to the master. So you just need to pull it down, complete everything, and just push it back to the server. So that triggers the continuous integration process and probably deliver to whatever the destinations you provide. So it's an interesting. So probably you can search on something called Git flow or GitHub workflow. So you can see a lot of interesting information on how actually people are actually collaborating over this tool, and how these things, like including this continuous delivery things, have built in practice.
Okay, that's just the Sharat version. Okay, so that is there any other input? Yeah.
I don't know much about this Git, but I want to share something like there is advantages and disadvantages. First, I'll talk about GitHub. If you use Git, in most of the interviews, they'll ask whether you know Git, and they'll ask for so many Git commands and all. Second thing is that if you are a starter, you're trying to, you're in a fresher stage of development, you can copy all the codes which is in the GitHub if you know Git. Then even if you want to contribute some open source gems and all, they all worked in GitHub. They all in GitHub only, and they all communicate through by forking the repo and issuing a pull request and all. And that's about the GitHub. So if you learn Git, there'll be very good advantages. Like most of the companies use Git as a version controller. And using of SVN, if you are handling a server then SVN is a good choice, because let's say I have file 1 and file 2, and sorry, my hands are shivering. Okay. Let's say file 1, I reached a certain stage. Can I have a marker? The thing is that using SVN, you can change a single file into any version. Let's say you have a user controller and a feature controller, and you want the version 1 of user controller, but the feature should be the latest version. And in the case of Git, you cannot you cannot clone or cherry pick a single file. It will be consist of a specific commit. But in the SVN, we can at least update a single file based on that version. So that's a one great advantage in SVN, and through Git we cannot use that. I think I explained it. I hope everyone got it.
Hi everyone, I'm Majid. I come from Alliance. I worked only with the SVN and the Git as repo. I'm from the server side, so I just keep track of all these DevOps environment. So initially, all these developers were pulling the code to a single repo, and a single branch. And currently, we have this Git. Came and it's a distributed, as we all know, it's a distributed version control system. And one of the problems that we are facing is actually the change is planned, everything is in place, and just before we execute this Git pull, or we are just trying to pull it into the production, there might be a problem with the merging. The people are really facing a problem with the merging side. And they sometimes they merge it, and after the merge, there are still they need something to be checked, and the production deployment maybe get delayed. All these things. So we have a very stable environment. Even we use the integration testing, all these things through the Jenkins itself. So when I compare with the SVN and Git, I might say Git is very powerful, and it's easy to configurable. And only thing that I see a problem is with the merging. The merging side, there might be some issues. And apart from that, I should say it is good.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Similar tools. It is basically a two-way merge. Like you have a copy on the server side and one copy on your local one. So you just compare. Just two versions you need to compare. But when it comes to Git, there will be a tree. Like you have a base version, you have your own copy of these things. Then later you merge it back to the actual version. So there will be a difference with the remote version, base version, and a local version. So you will have to basically compare all these three versions if you have conflicts. So it's a simple technique. I mean, it's called three-way merge processing. Merge tools are available there. So you can even use your text editor to do it, but it's good if you have a visual tool like Beyond Compare or KDIF or similar tools to help you to visualize the changes. So it clearly mentioned this is a base version where it is common to the current master and the local version, and the remote version, which means the master and the local version. So you just need to, you can take a call based on all these three versions. And also if you follow the proper workflows with Git is actually a very complicated tool. If you properly follow the guidelines and practices or whatever the workflows defines for your project, you can actually reduce the number of conflicts in your code. So better we actually go for, less number of conflicts as much as possible.
Okay. Yeah, initially we feel that maybe it's hard to understand, but once we are used to it, we will be loving it. So these conflicts merge and won't be that much issue. But the only thing is we need to pull each and like every hour or now and then. If we take in every day means there will be a lot of conflicts. That's it. And Git.
So any other option? Anybody has experience in HG? Mercurial? So no other suggestion. So everyone suggests that we should go for Git. So Aramal, what do you have?
Shall I go? So let me conclude this discussion. So basically, like S1. So for a beginner, if you want to come into like you want to understand about version control system, you can adopt SVN. Like if your team is small and your project is small, for example, single developer project can go for SVN. And if your project is somewhat bigger and your team is also bigger, and I suggest you to go for distributed system like Git or Mercurial. And for information, even the Mercurial hadn't come to this topic. The Facebook uses Mercurial for its maintaining projects. The reason is that Mercurial is highly customizable. We can add patches and we can like customize the whole system itself based on need. So that's the reason Facebook uses it. Initially, the Facebook was using Git, but later they may migrate to Mercurial. The reason is that it was highly customizable and the language written is Python. So that's the reason Facebook uses that. And in the case of open source community, Git is very popular. And the thing is that it is harder to learn. It will take some time to learn. But once you are familiar with that, you can master it. That's it. I mean,
and also it is not that hard to learn. There are a lot of free courses available that you could do to learn Git. So that is if
no, I'm saying that.
so
that
Mercurial might be better, but we do not have a experience in that.
We didn't have a talk about
That is, we
Mercurial,
never
right?
tried it.
Yeah, I mean, like if you know SVN, it's easy to learn Mercurial. And yeah, of course, since it was not in the topic, I just said Facebook uses Mercurial. That's it.
Really? Yeah, we can check it. So the only point is that didn't come into our discussion part itself. Okay, that is, we always. Did you ever have a chance to work with it? Okay. Yes. So
it was just to participate in open source project. Probably so basically Firefox hosted their code on Mercurial. So I had to use those tools to just work, try out few things. So that's my only experience with Mercurial, but mostly the command patterns are similar. Git got a boost because it's Linux community supported it and created by Linus Torvalds. So I don't think there is a serious difference between these two concepts.
Like what I said is that Facebook adopted it because it was highly customizable. That's the reason they were using. I saw in some thread.